Reggae Just Extra with Rastas.
The Rastafari movement, born in the 1930s in Jamaica, grew beyond religion into a global culture, one of resistance, African identity, and spiritual vision. While rooted in Ethiopia's legacy and the divinity of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, the movement also reacts strongly to global politics, especially when they intersect with justice, oppression, and biblical prophecy. But when it comes to the modern geopolitical conflict between Israel and Iran, where do Rastafarians stand? And more curiously, what stance have countries with strong Rastafarian presence taken, knowingly or symbolically, in this ideological tug-of-war? This is Reggae Just Extra with Rastas. Jamaica, the cradle of Rastafari, is home to tens of thousands of followers. Rastafarians here revere Zion as Ethiopia, but also associate it biblically with Jerusalem, the Promised Land. Many Rastas see Israel not as the modern political state, but as a spiritual symbol of redemption. However, Jamaican governments over the years have maintained diplomatic relations with Israel, even as Caribbean support shifts. In 2023, Jamaica abstained from UN votes criticizing Israel, a signal of quiet alignment. Yet among grassroots Rastas, Israel's occupation of Palestine is often seen as Babylon's oppression, and so support is symbolic and theological, not political. Ethiopia. Emperor Haile Selassie descent from the Solomonic dynasty, linking Ethiopia to ancient Israel through the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. This gives Ethiopia a deep symbolic link to Israel and Rastafarian belief. But geopolitically, Ethiopia has balanced relations. In recent years, Iran has invested in Ethiopian infrastructure and education. Ethiopia hosted Iranian delegations even amid global sanctions, showing a measured pro-Iran tilt. So while Rastas view Ethiopia as the embodiment of Zion, modern Ethiopia leans diplomatically toward Iran in key areas, creating an ironic twist. South Africa. South Africa is home to a rising Rastafarian population, especially in the Western Cape. Post-apartheid ideologies resonate with Rastafari teachings of liberation and resistance to Babylon. Politically, South Africa is one of the loudest critics of Israel, calling it an apartheid state and supporting Palestine at international forums. In 2024, South Africa even took Israel to the International Court of Justice over Gaza. This aligns with the Rastafarian anti-colonial stance, and many Rastas in South Africa view Iran's anti-imperialist speech as righteous, even if they disagree with its theocratic rule. United Kingdom. The UK is home to one of the largest Rastafarian diasporas, particularly from Jamaican and Caribbean roots. Here, support is more ideological than political. While the UK government has historically supported Israel, many black British Rastas align with pro-Palestine causes, participating in rallies and calling out Western imperialism. Rastas in the UK tend to view both Iran and Israel with skepticism, but side with oppressed peoples, and thus lean toward Palestine by default, not necessarily pro-Iran, but definitely anti-Israel in practice. Brazil. In Brazil, especially in Bahia, the Rastafari movement blends with Afro-Brazilian culture. While not always religiously strict, the themes of African identity, resistance, and spiritual music flourish. Brazil has diplomatic relations with both Iran and Israel. However, under leftist governments like Lula's, Brazil has shown more support for Palestine and criticism of Israeli actions. Brazilian Rastas, largely cultural rather than doctrinal, often adopt Pan-Africanist and anti-colonial views, leaning subtly toward Iranian resistance narratives, though without direct support. United States. Much like in the UK, the US government has long been a strong ally of Israel. However, many black American Rastafarians stand in solidarity with pro-Palestinian movements, often participating in protests and speaking out against Western imperialism. Within the Rastafarian community in the US, both Israel and Iran are generally viewed with skepticism. Yet, driven by a deep-rooted commitment to justice and the defense of the oppressed, Rastas often find themselves leaning toward the Palestinian cause, not out of support for Iran, but as a stance against what they perceive as Israeli oppression. Other countries dominated by Rastafarian populations that took sides during the 12-Day War include the followings. That's it for this episode, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and leave a positive comment in the section below, and I'll see you again very soon for another interesting video.